Hello and welcome to the Quincy Access Television Studios. I'm Mark Crosby. Thank you for joining us for Good Deeds, a quarterly update, an update about your Registry of Deeds. And joining me, as in programs past, is Bill O'Donnell. He is the Registrar of Deeds here in Norfolk County. Bill, welcome back.
Mark, thank you very much for having me, and again, thanks to Quincy Access for putting this on. The registry is an arm of government many people don't know about, and today we're going to be talking about statistics, and that may seem boring to some people, and for others, it's the reality of what's going on in the economy, not just here in Quincy, but around Norfolk County.
You mentioned statistics, and we do have a couple of graphics that will be on screen momentarily. First, we're going to look at real estate activity countywide during a certain period. I believe it's January 1st through the 31st of March.
Right. What we did is we took the statistics for January through March for 2018 and compared it to 2017. And we'll start with the high numbers. One of the high numbers was total dollar volume, where we put all the sales together. And admittedly, it's kind of skewed because it combines commercial and real estate. And the numbers from 2017 to 2018 in Norfolk County, it was an increase of 37%, and in Quincy it was a tremendous number, 87%. And the average sale price, the same thing. It kind of gets skewed because it's residential and commercial, but countywide that figure increased 52%, and in Quincy 94%. So clearly there's sales taking place. We see that one of the functions of the registry is to collect deeds excise, and that money goes to the Department of Revenue and eventually into the State General Fund. And you could see that's been vibrant. But you have to temper some of this vibrancy with some of the statistics that are lower and show inactivity. For instance, total documents. I look at sort of that as a bellwether. In 2017, again, from January to March 2017, countywide there were 34,816 documents recorded, and in 2018 it was 30,641. So that's a 12% decrease, and that sort of mirrored Quincy. That same 3-month period in 2017 in Quincy, there were 3,507 documents recorded, and this past 3 months in 2018 it was 3,129 documents, so about an 11% decrease. And people say, well, on one hand, prices are up. What's going on? And maybe before I get into what my theory is, we should also look at the sales, because we have the document volume, but even the sales are down. Countywide, in 2017, it was 3,753 sales, deeds being recorded. In 2018, it was 3,525. So again, that's a 6% decrease. Quincy did better than the county in that regard. As far as deeds being recorded, there were 496 in 2017, and from January 1st to March 31st, 2018, there were 490, so just a 1% decrease. So it sort of reflects what we hear anecdotally by the real estate brokers, that there's no inventory out there, that there's limited inventory to sell. And that's probably driving up some of the prices, at least on the residential. Commercial is a different kind of sector, but there's probably more buyers out there for the inventory that's there. And we hear anecdotally of places going for over asking, or these competitive bid situations. I would like to say that with these 3-month periods, let's remember January through March is traditionally a slow time. You have the holidays, you have the winter storms, so we are about to enter the spring season. I have my Red Sox tie on. The Red Sox are starting, so hopefully there'll be a growth start for the real estate.
Well, one of the other concerns is the Federal Reserve and interest rate hikes.
A lot of the things that happen outside of Quincy, outside of Norfolk County, that happen at the federal level will impact what happens here locally. And one of them is the interest rates. Although still relatively low, they have ticked up. So that could be a factor. Some people and again, some people who aren't used to interest rates going up might be thinking, oh, they might be coming down. Whereas some of us, my first mortgage was 1987, and the adjustable rate at that time was 8%. I know other people that had 12%, and so it's all where you came from. But what you talk about, things that happen at the federal level with interest rates, you can kind of see it with the 3 months of statistics on mortgages. In Norfolk County, borrowings, where mortgages get recorded, in 2017 was 6,005 mortgages recorded. For this quarter, it was 5,155. Again, a 14% decrease. And in Quincy, it kind of mirrors the county. There was 639 mortgages in 2017, and from January 1st to March 31st, 2018, there were 559, so roughly a 13% decrease. So, so there's less borrowings because it's reflective of this. There is less activity taking place, and as the brokers say, there's less sales taking place in many respects because there's no inventory. You know, they probably feel if they have more inventory, more sales will take place.
One of the other items that we address in all the shows we do is the foreclosure activity and how Quincy compares to the county.
Sure, and it's everywhere. Hopefully it doesn't go back to the way it was in 2008, 2009, but we do track the foreclosure statistics. And behind these statistics are people that are struggling. And the good news for those people, and go to our website at www.norfolkdeeds.org, we've partnered up with Quincy Community Action Program here in Quincy, Neighbor Works of Southern Massachusetts, where these are nonprofit agencies that try to help people. So if you do find yourself struggling with foreclosure, go to, reach out. You have some local agency right here where they can not only help you through a legal process, they can also educate people as far as giving them some guidance and counseling with respect to financial literacy and steps that might be needed to get yourself out of a situation. But I always say it can happen to anyone, whether it's bad luck, you lose a job, some health issues, but there are people struggling behind the statistics, and we see it. The Registry of Deeds is only involved sort of at the beginning of the process and at the end. When a bank files suit against somebody, they file suit in court, they have to record a notice to foreclose at the registry. So we track that. And sometimes we don't see anything to the end, if there was a foreclosure deed gets recorded. And in 2017, countywide, there was 69 foreclosure deeds recorded January through March, and in 2018, 68. So kind of steady, from last year to this year. And in Quincy, the same thing. There were 5 foreclosure deeds recorded in 2017, 6 in 2018. So kind of steady. The number that bears watching is the notices to foreclose, which is the beginning of the process. Countywide, in 2017, there were 144. There are now 168 in this quarter in 2018. That's about a 16% increase, and it bears watching. The good news for Quincy during that same 3-month period, January through March, in 2017 there were 17. In 2018, there were 13. So that's the people that are just getting a notice and they're getting foreclosed. But please check our website. And in addition, on our website, you can reach out to the Mass Attorney General's office. Has helpful information and helpful programs and resources that people should at least consult.
We will now turn to electronic recording. An interesting fact: 40% of the documents have been recorded electronically. And what that is we have modernized the operation. So if you traditionally, when I first became registered, people would come in and we obviously use the technology to record the documents right there. But what electronic recording is, it was asked for by the lawyers and by the banks and the people that have a role in a very big part of our economy, the real estate economy. It's like, hey, let's try to get electronic recording going. It had to be authorized by the federal government and the state government. So an attorney could be doing a closing here in Quincy, and instead of writing out to Dedham, they can transmit the closing package over the internet
and we take recordings, and it's been pretty well received. Again, this is a modernization initiative that is relatively new, and you know, the 40% numbers on the recorded land side, we just got authorization, and again, thank our your local legislators here in Quincy, your state reps. You got Tacky Chan, and you got Bruce Ayers, Ron Mariano, and Representative Hunt has a sliver, as well as John Keenan, the state senator. They helped push a bill through where we can now do electronic recording on the land court side. There's two sides of land here in Norfolk County, land court and recorded land. And Norfolk County is one of the pilot programs, and we started it this past April. And those numbers aren't 40% yet, but they are moving. There's like 15 or 20% of the volume is coming over the internet and recording.
And again, it saves time. Referencing this material for law firms, let's say, makes it easy.
Yes, you know, again, we're trying to be a responsive government agency. I mean, you can't just do things the way it was. I mean, you know, that's why we have a website now. That's why we have internet land record research. They didn't have internet land record research when I got to the Registry of Deeds. So you have to kind of look at what's going on in society, and in society, for better or worse, everything's got to be fast. And now, in any of the 28 communities, documents can come in over the internet, and we can do recordings. And, you know, but we still have to do it whether you come in person. The mission is the same. We have to do it securely, accurately, and efficiently. And certainly the institutional users, the banks and the lawyers, they really are the ones that wanted to have this modernization initiative implemented, and we're happy to do that.
Next, we are going to address mortgage discharges and just talk about the importance of discharging a mortgage.
Sure. You know, we all have to borrow money. We borrow money to you know, buy our house. Some people borrow money because they might need to, you know, renovate a house. You know, we have children. Sometimes you have to take equity out of the house because of tuition bills. When you borrow money, the bank wants to make sure they get paid, and they record a mortgage. When you pay off that mortgage, whether you pay it off because you're at the end of the line and it's been completely paid off, or if you're refinancing because you're getting a lower rate or knocking a few years off your mortgage, make sure the mortgage discharge gets recorded. And a lot of people say, oh, well, you know, the lawyers will take care of that and people will take care of that. Well, unfortunately, it's not always the case. And even though other institutions, you know, banks should have sent discharges to the registry, lawyers might have some discharges in their file somewhere. It's your property, so you kind of own the problem. And the reason we mention it is we see people at the registry coming in saying, hey, I paid off my mortgage 20 years ago. I forget who the lender was, and we have a document on our website, Where Has My Bank Gone?, which has state and federal contact information. One contact information is the Mass Division of Banks, where you can kind of track down where your bank went, because some have merged or gone out of business. And the reason is you have to get that mortgage discharge. It's a 1 or 2 page document that gets recorded that tells the world that your mortgage has been paid off. So you can use our internet to check to make sure these discharges are in. And if you don't know how to do the research, you can come to one of our computer seminars, which are upcoming. You can check our website, but we do have some computer seminars upcoming. May 1st, we're more geared to historical societies and commissions. We have one, and one for the general public on May 16th at 649 High Street, where the registry is located at 4:30. People come in and we give them some lessons, and by the end they're looking up their information.
And you had mentioned the Mass Division of Banks. We had the phone number on the screen, but let's give that out if we could. 617-956-1501. Again, for mortgage discharges, to make sure that a discharge has occurred.
Well, you check the registry to see if the discharge is has occurred. If it hasn't occurred, the telephone number there helps you track down the bank, because some people, the banks have merged or some have gone out of business, and we have the state and federal contact information where you can do some of the legwork that's needed. Of course, I'm a big believer in community banks. The community banks, they're the ones that are making sure discharges are recorded at the registry. You can always go to your local bank and get good, customer service. But some of the bigger banks, it's a little more difficult. But it shouldn't be, and they're getting better. But it's not. If you can always go to that local community bank. You'll get good customer service. They'll go in. Oh yeah, your mortgage has been paid off. Geez, you need a discharge. They'll put it together. The officer of the bank's probably around the corner, and they'll take care of you. But make sure it gets recorded at the registry.
So that's the way to find out, is to go to the registry, but then
to make sure if it's been discharged. If it's
Correct.
not, then you got to go to the state and federal contact information, the Division of Banks, and start doing some legwork and track down your discharge.
Right. The Homestead Act, the increase, or the well, it would be the increase for protection against your home has gone from $125,000 to $500,000. So there is an automatic $125,000. Talk about that and talk about the addition.
Sure, and again, thank you, local legislators, because it's the first time in Massachusetts history they had an automatic homestead. So if you haven't declared a homestead, and that's traditionally how you had to do it, you had to declare it and file the paperwork at the registry. But with the new law, you have $125,000 worth of protection, automatic, but it gets a portion depending on who owns it. To my way of thinking, and again, I'm a lawyer by training. Lawyers, sometimes people say you'd ask a lawyer 10 different lawyers, you get 10 different opinions. I'd say 9.9 out of 10 would say, hey, if you own a house and it's your principal residence, you have a right to record a homestead under the statute, record it. And by doing so, you get $500,000 worth of protection. And again, hopefully you'll never need it, but it prevents a forced sale of your home. Again, you have to make sure you pay your taxes. Homestead doesn't, beat taxes. A homestead doesn't beat a bank. But a car accident, things like that, take the step to protect your home. And as you said, it's been increased to, it's $500,000. And if you're over 62, which is what the legislature defines as elderly, you can have some protections there as well.
Let's talk about nursing homes in this regard.
Well, the homestead doesn't, nursing homes, homestead doesn't protect that. So there are certain protections that the homestead's good for, and then some of these other things like state taxes, federal taxes, paying a bank, or in this case, a nursing home.
And what about,
you're not protected against.
What about an elderly homestead? What is that?
They define elderly, the legislature defines elderly as 62 and above, and say both people are over 62, a spouse, each gets $500,000. So there's some extra protections for people that are elderly. The big thing is make sure you get one recorded. Hopefully you never need it. And the other thing, thank you, local legislators, is in past times, mortgages would kill your homestead. When you refinanced, there was clauses in the mortgage that would kill your homestead. Your local legislators have rewritten the law saying, hey, if that language is in there now, it doesn't kill your homestead. Because I know when I was refinancing with 3 kids going to college, I'm like, why do you have that language in? And I just refiled the homestead just to make sure. I didn't want someone 20 years from now saying I wasn't protected.
Right. And mobile homes are covered.
Yes, a lot of things in the statute were covered for the what they did. They finally made a decision, said, hey, if mobile homes and again you can record it in the county where you're located. And the homestead also protects other things like the proceeds of your sale from your home. Again, for a limited period of time, it prevents people from swooping in on that money for a year. If your house burnt down, casualty insurance check. That money is protected, again, for a limited period of time of 2 years if you have a homestead recorded at the registry. So there's all these little protections that are available in the law. I think the big thing is it's the biggest asset you have, so take that extra step. And the filing fee is relatively modest compared to other filing fees to protect your home.
And one more before we leave this topic, homes in trust?
Well, it used to be on the land court side, there was case law that said a property in trust was not owned by an individual, so only individuals could put on homestead. Again, thank you, local legislators. They said, look, if the property's in trust, depending on if the beneficiary is living there and it's their principal residence, that just because it's in trust you're not, it doesn't mean you're precluded from filing a homestead. So now, because the property's in trust, you should go to your lawyers, and you may be able to put a homestead depending on the circumstance. And again, that's been a change in the law.
Let's talk about the Consumer Notification Service.
Sure. The Consumer Notification Service, it's ongoing. I think there's over 700 people that have signed up. It's a relatively new program. We were the first one, first registry in Massachusetts to do it. I think there's about 68 Quincy residents that have signed up. What it is it's almost an anti-fraud notification program. And the reason we do it is this: you sign up on our website and you get an email. I've signed up. I try to, if we're doing something, I try to put myself in the same situation. So I get an email if something William O'Donnell comes through. I get an email. Then I go online, or I can call my customer service, the registry customer service. Our viewers could call the registry customer service at 781-461-6101 and say, hey, wait a minute, can you help me out here? But I get it online. I look it up. Oh, it doesn't involve me. I'm William P. O'Donnell. I might get something for William J. O'Donnell or William T. O'Donnell. But there might be a time, because the FBI says the fastest growing white-collar crime is property and deed fraud and mortgage fraud, wait a minute, that's the deed to my house. I didn't sign that deed. Or that's a mortgage, but that's not my signature. I didn't prevent the fraud, and our program does not prevent the fraud, but at least you can get on it sooner. And we have contact information to the district attorney's office and the other law enforcement agencies that are involved here in Norfolk County, and you can at least get on it right away. So again, it's trying to use the technology that's out there and make the registry relevant to what's going on, because unfortunately there's a lot of scams and things going on there. We haven't really seen it in Norfolk County, but it's happening elsewhere, and it's only a matter of time before it shows around here.
A project called History Comes Alive. Talk a little bit about that. It's basically concluded. You have finished this.
Yes, and when the statistics are down and volume might be down, we're still doing projects at the registry. So we're indexed now completely back to 1793. So if you ran a name, if we ran Mark Crosby or Bill O'Donnell, we can run it all the way back to 1793. So it's completely indexed. And what we've also done, we had a History Comes Alive project where many of our documents from 1793 to 1900 were handwritten out, and we've transcribed them. So when you went to book 1, page 1, you could see the first document. It was from Foxborough, recorded. And it's handwritten, but if you hit another button, the typed version of that document comes out. And we've been having a lot of fun, because there's deeds from John Adams to John Quincy Adams. There's a deed from John Adams to Quincy for some property where he talks about John Hancock and what a great patriot he was and all the things he did for the country. So there's a lot of good history in the documents, and we're getting good reviews from historical societies and commissions, because a lot of people look at our principal mission is to help the real estate economy, but a lot of people are using the records now for genealogical and historical research. And the History Comes Alive project has been a lot of fun, and it makes the documents relevant, because from 1793 to 1900, that was over 450,000 documents that have now been transcribed, so people can read them. It just makes it easier to decipher the documents.
And the indexed project?
Yes, and that's the index project goes now back to 1793, when Norfolk County was first established. John Hancock, one of the signers of the Declaration of Independence, was the governor, signed a law establishing Norfolk County. We are completely indexed back to 1793. So all of this is in our internet library. We have over 6 million images that people can view, but everything is indexed back to 1793.
Let's talk about an ongoing project, which I believe is planned on rolling out sometime in June. It's called the Notable Land Records Project.
Yes, well, first of all, we invite everyone to come to the registry on Wednesday, June 20th. because on June 20th, 1793, 225 years ago, Norfolk County was established. So, we're just having an open house at the registry, and part of the open house in celebrating the 225th year of the county and the 225th year of the registry is this notable land records project where, everyone knows Norfolk County is the county of presidents. So maybe the people don't know, but 4 presidents were born here, and everyone in Quincy knows it's John Adams and John Quincy Adams, but George Herbert Walker Bush was born in Milton, and John F. Kennedy in Brookline. So we're going to have a storyboard about the presidents, but we've picked a person from each town. For instance, Louis Brandeis was a Supreme Court Justice for the United States, lived in Dedham. Helen Keller, lived in Rentham. Paul Revere had property in Quincy, a foundry, a business down there. So we're pulling out, different people. Some of them are, it was Christian Herder was not only a governor, but he was the Secretary of State, had property in Millis. So we're doing interesting things like that. Catherine Lee Bates, who wrote America the Beautiful, was born in Falmouth but had property in Wellesley. So what we try to do is tie the person to a record, whether they live there or they own property there. And it's been a fun project, and so those are the storyboards we're creating in that notable land records project. We're rolling it out for the June 20th celebration. But we've had so much fun working with the historical societies and commissions. I can already see a volume 2 coming, with different, different people and the history that we have here in Norfolk County and the history we have in Quincy, and not just history, but cultural people, that have had impacts. We're also doing a storyboard on Nobel Prize winners around the county. So it's been a lot of fun. So it combines what my day job is, which really is, making sure the registries run well and we give good customer service in a very important part of the economy, the real estate economy, with my interest in history and trying to use some of these documents and make the documents, relevant to people.
It's a history lesson. Really?
Yeah, no, I enjoyed it. So some of you people who might be struggling in history, like some of us did, keep at it, because you'll end up loving it.
In the last couple minutes, we only have about 2. Just talk about 2 programs briefly, the Suits for Success and New Life.
The Suits for Success, thank the residents out there for the donations. We get them from all over. As a matter of fact, we just dropped part of the suits to the Interfaith Social Services, which it helps people there. They get it to the Quincy Career Closet. So these clothes go all over, and they get used. We're a drop-off point. I always tell people I date myself because our plan room looks like Filene's basement. And we also just did a spring drop-off, or really a winter drop-off. We hope to do a spring drop-off. Check your closets. We take men's clothes, women's clothes to the VA. We've partnered up with the Veterans Administration. We thank the veterans for their service over in Jamaica Plain. And as far as New Life, we're a drop-off point. They collect items that people might take for granted in their home, whether it's kitchenware, comforters, things like that. So check our website, but we're a drop-off point for them as well.
Well, I want to thank you. As we close, once again, if you could give out the contact information for the registry.
Sure. Again, the Norfolk Registry of Deeds is located at 649 High Street in Dedham. You're welcome to come to our customer service department directly, or you can call them at 781-461-6101, or contact me directly at registerodonnell@norfolkdeeds.org, and our website is www.norfolkdeeds.org. Check our website for a lot of good real estate information.
Well, you certainly gave us a lot of good information in this half-hour show. I want to thank you for coming in and giving us this quarterly update. Certainly no stranger to Quincy Access Television, so keep on coming in, and we'll keep on having you on the air.
I love coming here, and you guys do a great job and a great service to the public.
Please continue to watch more programming, local programming, here at Quincy Access Television. See you next time.